There is a car parked at a film studio in Atlanta, Georgia. It is not a Rolls Royce, it is not a Ferrari. It is a Geo Metro, a small, cheap, 3-cylinder economy car, the kind of vehicle you buy when you cannot afford a vehicle. The studio it is parked at covers 330 acres. It has 12 sound stages. And it is owned outright, with no partners and no corporate backing, by one man. That man is a billionaire, and he keeps that little car on his lot on purpose, because he used to sleep in it. This is the story of Tyler Perry. He was not born Tyler Perry. On September 13th, 1969, in New Orleans, Louisiana, a boy was born and named Emmett Perry Jr. after his father. His father was a carpenter. His mother, Willie Maxine Perry, took him to church. By his own account, the house he grew up in was violent. Perry has spoken publicly for more than 20 years now about being beaten by his father, sometimes badly enough that he blacked out. He has also spoken about surviving abuse of a sexual nature as a child at the hands of several people who should have protected him instead. He has described those years, in his own words, as a living hell. As a child, he carried thoughts of not wanting to live anymore. At 16, he did something that tells you everything about that house. He legally changed his first name. He did not want to carry his father's name anymore. Emmett Perry Jr. became Tyler Perry. He dropped out of high school. He later went back and earned a GED. And for a while, that was the entire story. A young man in New Orleans with no diploma, no money, no plan, and a childhood he could not talk about. Then sometime around 1991, he was watching television. Oprah Winfrey was talking to her audience about writing. She said that putting your painful experiences down on paper can be a way of healing from them. Tyler Perry, who had never written anything in his life, started writing letters to himself. He was not trying to make a play, he was trying to survive. But the letters kept coming, they started turning into characters. The characters started talking to each other, and eventually the thing on the page stopped being a diary and started being a story. He called it I Know I've Been Changed, a gospel musical about adults who had survived being abused as children. In 1992, he moved to Atlanta to put it on a stage. Here is where you might expect me to tell you he got lucky. He did not. Perry took a job and saved every dollar he could until he had $12,000. That was everything he had in the world. Then he quit the job. He rented the 14th Street Playhouse in Atlanta. He wrote the play, he directed the play, he produced the play, he promoted the play, and he starred in the play. Every single role, because there was nobody else. He spent the entire $12,000 on one weekend. 30 people came. Not 30 people a night, 30 people, total, for the whole run. He was 22 years old, he had no job, no savings, and a theatre full of empty seats. Most people stop there. That is the normal, sane, reasonable thing to do. Tyler Perry did it again the next year, and it failed again. So he did it in 1994. It failed. 1995. Failed. 1996. Failed. 1997. Failed. The same play, the same script. The same man doing every single job. Rewriting it a little each time, renting a room, printing flyers, standing on a street corner handing them to strangers, and then watching almost nobody walk through the door. For 6 years. During those years, he ran out of money more than once. He worked odd jobs to fund the next attempt. And at points in there, he had nowhere to live at all. So he slept in his car. A 1992 Geo Metro. By his own account, roughly 3 months of his life were spent sleeping in a vehicle about the size of a bathtub, while he kept staging a play that nobody was coming to see. Think about what 6 years of that does to a person. Not 6 years of grinding towards something that was slowly getting better. 6 years of the exact same failure, over and over, in public, in front of the same city. In the summer of 1998, he decided he was finished. One more run. If it failed, he would quit and go and get a real job. He booked the House of Blues in Atlanta. And he staged I Know I've Been Changed for the 7th time. It sold out. Then it sold out again and again. 8 consecutive sold-out shows. 2 weeks later, he moved it to the Fox Theatre, one of the largest and most prestigious venues in Atlanta, and sold roughly 9,000 more seats. Nothing fundamental about the play had changed. What had changed was that the audience had finally found it. And this is the part that actually matters. That audience had been there the whole time. Black church audiences across the American South existed in 1992 and in 93 and every single year in between. The film industry had simply never bothered to look at them. Every executive who would later tell Tyler Perry that there was no market for his work was wrong on the day that they said it. In 1999, he premiered a new play, I Can Do Bad, all by myself. In it, he put on a dress, a grey wig and a pair of glasses and played a loud, blunt, pistol-carrying grandmother named Madea. Madea became the most commercially successful character he ever created. For the next 6 years he toured, theatre after theatre, city after city, building an audience by hand, one venue at a time, completely outside of Hollywood. By 2005, Hollywood finally noticed. Lionsgate released Diary of a Mad Black Woman on February 25th. It was made for $5.5 million. It opened at number 1. It took $22.7 million in its first 3 days, which is 4 times its entire budget in a single weekend. It finished at over $50 million, and then Tyler Perry did something that almost nobody in the entertainment business does. When television networks wanted to make changes to his sitcom, Perry refused. Instead, he spent around $5 million of his own money and produced 10 finished episodes himself, with no network involved at all. Then he sold them the finished product. TBS ordered 100 episodes. The distribution deal was reported at $200 million. And through all of it, he held on to the one thing that everybody else in his position gives away. He owns his work. 100% of it, more than 1,200 television episodes, more than 20 feature films, around 24 stage plays. He does not license the catalogue. He does not share it. He owns it. In September of 2020, Forbes named him a billionaire, with a net worth of $1.4 billion. And when Forbes broke down where that money actually sat, the single largest piece of it was not a salary, and it was not a film. It was the library, $320 million of it, the catalogue that he had refused to sell. In 2015, Tyler Perry bought a piece of land, 330 acres in southwest Atlanta for $30 million, to 12 sound stages, owned outright with no partners and no studio backing, which made him the first African-American to fully own a major film studio. But it is what that land used to be that makes this story land. It was Fort McPherson, a decommissioned United States Army base, and during the Civil War that ground was a Confederate encampment. A black man from New Orleans who dropped out of high school, who was beaten as a child, who slept in a Geo Metro, now owns the ground where the Confederate Army once camped. On October 5th, 2019, he opened it. Oprah Winfrey was there. Oprah Winfrey, the woman whose television show 28 years earlier had told a broke and desperate young man to write his pain down on a piece of paper. So that is why the car is there. Somewhere on those 330 acres sits a Geo Metro. He still drives it sometimes. He has been photographed in it. He keeps it because the 6 years are not the part of the story you tell after you have won. The 6 years are the part that actually built him. The $12,000, the 30 people, the 7 attempts, the 3 months of sleeping in a car that is still parked today on land that he owns. Most people quit at the first version of that. He did it 7 times. If you got something out of this, subscribe. Every episode, we tell the full untold story behind the world's most extraordinary rises, from the very bottom to the very top. Next time, a boy who was bullied so badly at school that he was hospitalized, who left home at 17 with a one-way ticket and almost no money, and who would go on to build the world's most valuable car company and land rockets, standing upright on floating platforms at sea. I will see you in the next one.